Welcome back to Endangered Species Spotlight. This week we are talking about the Galapagos penguin. This is the Galapagos penguin. It is a native to the Galapagos Islands and can also be found in a few select places in Ecuador. It is the northernmost penguin species in the entire world, and in fact the only one to be found above the equator. Unfortunately, it is rather endangered since it is only found in a very, very small area on a few islands and in the waters around it, and the estimated population is around 1,800 individual penguins. Penguins as a whole are very, very well adapted to cold climates and cold waters, and the Galapagos are not known for being very cold at all, so these guys have a couple special adaptations to deal with the warmer climate of where they live. Now, the Galapagos and surrounding area is typically a tropical environment, which is not great for cold-adapted animals. However, it gets around that by staying largely in a couple very cold ocean currents that helps them just kind of stay cool and deal with the tropical temperature. And that brings us to our main threats against this penguin, which happens to be almost entirely due to climate change. These penguins are very, very temperature sensitive, and they're already cutting it pretty close anyway, living in a tropical area. So if the temperature around them warms even by a little bit, the population tends to suffer quite a lot. So they are very heavily affected by climate change, particularly when the climate overall is warming, and one of the main threats to them is the El Niño. Now, the El Niño and the La Niña are natural phenomenon where just the climate overall tends to get either warmer with the El Niño or colder with the La Niña. Now, those events are naturally occurring, however, they are both made way, way more dramatic by current climate change. So, them themselves are not unnatural, it's just they should not be this super dramatic. And it's the El Niño specifically that affects these penguins because it is a warming event around where they are, and again, since they are so temperature sensitive, then any increase in temperature around them is very detrimental and can have very negative effects on the population. Now, interestingly, La Niñas tend to have the opposite effect, where when they happen, the penguin population rebounds, which is good. However, it still is not a great situation for the penguins to be in. Other factors affecting the Galapagos penguins are things like pollution, particularly of garbage in the oceans. However, the main threats are urbanization and industrialization due to the increase of release of greenhouse gases, which contribute to the climate change, which contributes to the temperature, etc., etc., etc. Bad for penguins. Now, there are conservation efforts going on around the habitats that they live in, which includes protecting the areas that they frequent, specifically the nesting areas, to ensure the eggs and baby penguins are as safe as possible. There are also efforts made to control the population of invasive cats and rats to the Galapagos Islands, so just the removal of those things, because those are another threat to them. But the biggest way to help these penguins would be to slow or ideally stop the rapid, uncontrolled effects of climate change.